Hello, I'm David Hume. History is all around, as is evidenced by this memorial to General Sir James Steele on Ballycarry's Amenity Green, telling the story of a very distinguished army officer who was born and grew up in this community. But what is history? History is objects, it's books, photographs, memories. And in this short film, we want to explore objects that people have and the story that those objects actually tell and the memories that they provoke.
Welcome to Bella Hill. My name is Billy Thompson. I'm chairman of Ballycarry Community Association, and some of the artefacts I have on display today are telling a story about my great granddad, Samuel James Jackson. Samuel James Jackson, according to the 1911 census, grew up as a young boy in Belfast, in a place called 24 Arkwright Street, just off the Shankill Road. There was 4 or 5 people in the house at the time, the mother and father, obviously the Jackson family. And what was also interesting to note on that census was there was another young fella in the house called Meek. And I think it was very common in those days for an orphan to be taken in by neighbours. So that's why I think that the young fella is down as a scholar actually on the census, along with my great granddad. But I think he was taken in as an orphan, and I think that was a very, very common thing that happened in those days. But Samuel James Jackson appears in that census, and he appears as a young van driver around Belfast at the 18 years of age. So he was 18 in 1911. So when war came around, I think it was a very natural thing for him to join up. And being a van driver around Belfast, he joined a service called the Army Service Corps. And we have a mannequin here badged up as the Army Service Corps, an officer badged up as the Army Service Corps. So in charge of logistics, in charge of moving things up to the front line, either by horse, cart, or by motorised vehicle if they were about. He could use that as well. So it was a very natural thing for Samuel to join the army and go into that corps. This is his medals from the First World War. We've got the service medal and the victory medal here, and in the centre you'll see what's commonly known as the death penny, or the commemorative plaque for every soldier that was killed in the First World War received one of these plaques. And I have it mounted here, or my granny had it mounted actually like this. And of course when I was a young lad, I seen this hanging on my granny's wall, and obviously as a youngster would, whenever you die, can I have those medals? And of course my granny says absolutely, you can have those medals. So that's how they've ended up in my possession. This is his photograph. And he's photographed here, I think, home on leave at some stage in the First World War. And this is his wife, Jane. And Jane Jackson, her maiden name was Hannah. And she was from Ballymoney, and that was where my mother's family actually hailed from Ballymoney. So this was his official photograph taken. And of course, this photograph has now been transferred over onto this beautiful Lambeg drum, which I got done in his memory. He fell at the Battle of Passchendaele, which we know was quite a horrendous battle in its time, and he was never recovered. So he has no known grave. His name is on the back wall of Tyncott Cemetery in France. And if you've ever been to that cemetery, or anybody's ever been to the cemetery, it runs in a lovely concave shape right round the back of the cemetery, and there's thousands of names on that wall. So he's remembered on that wall as Samuel James Jackson. But the other interesting thing was that he didn't stay in the Army Service Corps. He left, and I think, and we try and piece some bits together, I think he left by talking to other line soldiers. And maybe the Army Service Corps was just a bit boring at the time for him, and he wanted to get forward and get into fighting or whatever he wanted to do. So he joined the 2nd 5th North Lancashire Regiment, is the line regiment that he joined. And I'm speaking again to my grandmother, she seemed to think that he was involved with machine guns. So we have here a Vickers machine gun, as you see, and there would have been a team of men operating a gun such as this. One firing it, one feeding the ammunition into it, one looking after the water situation, because it was a water-cooled machine gun, and as the water heated up around the barrel here, this was filled up with water, and as it heated up, it condensed, ran down the hose into the petrol can, and of course filled back up with water again, and then that was your water ready to go back into the gun again. And of course the interesting thing with that as well is a lot of soldiers bitterly complained during the First World War about their tea tasting of petrol, and that's the main reason for it, because petrol cans were used as condensing cans, and you would have got the tinge of petrol when they made their tea through the boiling water from the Vickers machine gun. So Samuel was certainly involved, I think, with machine guns, and it's very, very sad, because the book that Sir Kenneth Bloomfield produced, have sitting over there, a journey of remembering about Belfast soldiers. It gives his age in the book as 26 whenever he died, but if we take that census I was talking about in 1911, he would have been 24, so the book's maybe just got it wrong slightly, but he died on the 26th of October 1917 in Passchendaele, probably taken out with a very large shell, landing in around the machine gun team or something like that, I would imagine. But he's remembered by me, and remembered by my family with great passion. That's why he has ended up on one of my Lambeg drums in colour, which is nice. And we've taken the artist was a young girl who was a work colleague of mine from Newton Ardscourt called Gillian Boyd, and Gillian kindly took his picture from the original photograph and produced it on the Lambeg drum. And of course we've surmounted that with the greater love is no man, greater love is no than this, than he laid down his life for his friends, John chapter 15 verse 13, and of course Passchendaele 1917 below. So he will always be remembered by my family, and he's something special. He's my hero, of course he is, and I've done some talks where I've been speaking to some young children and we're talking about superheroes and what superheroes are about, but Samuel James Jackson certainly was my superhero.